and welcome to HBCU 101.
I had all the no's, but I got that one I didn't give up.
Spelman's in the building.
Drum major for Morehouse's House of Funk.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to HBCU 101. I am your host, Jaleel Thurman. HBCU 101 is a show that will take you all over the nation, giving you the ins and outs of HBCUs, a little taste of the HBCU flavor. On today's episode, we talk with the North Carolina Central University alum as we get the understanding of what life is like behind the lens. But before we dive into that, let's check out our HBCU news and see what's buzzing in our community.
Okay, thanks, Jaleel. You know, we talked politics last week, talking about Kamala Harris, the vice president-elect, the history-making election, and the fact that she's a Howard alum. Well, how about a Morehouse man in the national spotlight as well? Reverend Raphael Warnock. He is going to be in a special runoff election in January for one of the two open Senate seats in the state of Georgia. And right now, the U.S. Senate tied at 48 apiece between the Democrats and the Republicans. So we're talking about a swing of power where the state of Georgia can have a huge impact on the modern political structure. And right in the middle of that is a Morehouse man in Reverend Warnock. So no political endorsements here, but definitely worth a mention because a lot of people talking about that in the weeks to come. And here's some information for our viewers in Georgia. If you want to register to vote and you're eligible for the January 5th runoff, you have until December 7th. You can register online through the Secretary of State's office. You just need a valid Georgia driver's license or an ID card issued by the state. You can also register through a mail-in form as well. All right, back to HBCU 101 with Jaleel Thurman.
Those in college know him for being Mr. North Carolina Central University, while the world knows him for being that guy behind the lens capturing some really iconic moments. HBCU 101 is excited to sit down with North Carolina Central University alum and CEO and founder of Omari Collins Media, Mr. Omari Collins. Yo, welcome to the show, my guy. Welcome.
My guy, Jaleel, man, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm super excited, elated to be with you all.
Let's talk about your experience as an Eagle. I mean, you're from Charlotte. You could have went anywhere in North Carolina. I mean, Fayetteville State, A&T, Shaw, Livingstone, Johnson C. Smith. I mean, the list goes on and on. However, you decided to take your talents, up into Eagle Nation. Talk to me about why North Carolina Central and what that experience was like.
So first and foremost, all love to all HBCUs.
Okay.
But I have to rep the maroon and gray NCCU all day, baby. But why did I choose North Carolina Central University? It was simple really for me. Like once I came onto campus and did my very first tour, it felt like home.
Okay.
And that's one thing a lot of people that end up at NCCU or even go to a homecoming or even walk the campus, like we make you feel like you're at home. And that was one of the main reasons that sold me to go to NCCU.
Okay.
All my family, or a lot of my close family, went to WSSU. My grandfather was a math professor at Johnson C. Smith. My father went to Johnson C. Smith. My mom went to Livingstone. So when it was time to choose my college, it was a tough decision.
Okay.
And so all my brother and my cousins were all at Winston, and I was for sure thinking I was going to go to Winston just because it was a family affair. And I took that visit. My mom and my late grandmother, I didn't have a chance to meet her, but she is a two-time Eagle. And so she went to North Carolina Central University for her undergrad and got her master's there. And I would see her degrees on a wall at home, but I never went to the campus, never been to Durham. The closest I've been to was Raleigh for like a basketball AAU tournament, like growing up. And it was just like crazy, or like the State Fair in Raleigh. So I never went to Durham. Like when somebody said Durham, I'm like, what is Durham? Like I never heard of it. But to come to a city like Durham was so historic for African American people and just the world in general was great. And then to actually step on that campus, the sloping hills and the verdant greens of North Carolina Central University, brother, it was mind blowing and life changing. And I'm so glad I was able to attend.
That's really unique that's your story. I think when we talk HBCUs, if you have family members that attended certain HBCUs, or if you have family members that are in Greek letter organizations, we tend to kind of follow behind those. However, you decided to create your own path. And then now at North Carolina Central, you actually were Mr. NCCU. And so what was that experience like at your university?
Man, it was great, honestly. So just a little bit of background. Before then, I was Mr. Freshman.
Okay.
I was Mr. Sophomore. My junior year, I stopped running to start my show, Eagle Access. So it was the first campus-based web series at NCCU.
Okay.
And then my senior year, I went for the gold, man, and I ran to become Mr. NCCU. And that experience, man, being the face of your university, being the liaison between the university and the community, man, it was such an honor. And to represent NCCU in that capacity was definitely a blessing, man. It was great. I was able to reach a lot of people. A lot of people was able to reach me. I've met countless number of people that is still in my life till this day. And I was able to forge and build a lot of relationships from that position and take that pedestal, just take it up a notch, take that position up a notch. So it's more than waving and taking pictures, and it's more than wearing a crown, man. It's community service.
Okay.
It's giving back. It's speaking to the youth and the people around your community and your campus. Is making your university a better place. And I'm so glad and I'm so thankful that North Carolina Central chose me to represent them, man. And I still, till this day, I'm so grateful and I'm honored to have served that position, and I always, edge my name in history as Mr. NCCU.
Eagle Pride Amplified. That is what I do know. And Omari, you've been able to not only, sketch your name in history with North Carolina Central, but you've really been able to do some amazing things with your career as a photographer, as a videographer. And I really want to dive into that, but we'll do that after the break. It's Omari, it's Jalil, it's HBCU 101. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back.
HBCU 101. Welcome back to HBCU 101.
Welcome back to HBCU 101. I am your host, Jalil Thurman, and I have the pleasure of being joined by North Carolina Central University alum, Mr. Omari Collins. It is definitely a pleasure to have you on the show. But before we dive into your passion and your career for photography and videography, we have to talk a little HBCU trivia. So listen, Cheney University, true or false, the first and oldest HBCU?
That's tough. I know a lot of people that get tricked up on this one, because a lot of people probably say Lincoln or Shaw was one of the first ones in the South, but I'm gonna go with true on this one.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. A lot of people do get choked up on Lincoln, Cheney. They don't really know between the two, but Cheney was the first, Lincoln was the second, and so that's that. You have really dived into your career and been able to flourish as the guy behind the lens from a videography standpoint and a photography standpoint. But before we dive into where you are now, what was your passion and what was the reason behind you really want to dive into photography and videography?
Man, actually, bro, it was wild, man. Shout out to my late grandfather. He actually gave me my start, really. And I didn't pay attention to it until after he passed away. And this was like after college, and once I was already in the industry, and I was going back through like home videos, and I'm sure seeing the videos of like old cookouts and like different family engagements.
Okay.
And I'm like, bro, I was recording this stuff. And so every time we had like a family engagement or like my brother's prom or like a graduation cookout or something, my grandfather would have he had this video camera, an old video camera, but he always was like, here, Omari, record. Yeah. And I'm like, man, dang, Granddad hit me with the camera duty again today. You know what I'm saying? But I would go around and interview everybody like that day on like, how the day going, tell us about the cookout. I would hop in front of the camera and do my thing. But it was just fun, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, my grandfather wanted me to do this, so I'm gonna do it. But I ended up getting into it. When I started looking back at the videos, I'm like, dang, I was doing a little zooms, little pan, little interviews. I'm like, okay, cool. So I would say my grandfather was the one that actually sparked that interest. Okay. And once I went to North Carolina Central University, I have a mentor there, Chi Brown. He was the campus photographer, still is. He sparked my interest and actually really showed me the game.
Gotcha.
And when I came to him with the idea of wanting to do my show, Eagle Access, and he asked me, he was like, well, what do you know how to do? I was like, well, I know how to take pictures on my phone. He was like, what? And he was like, no, you need to learn how to do everything, because even as a team, if you're running your show, if your camera guy, your videographer, or, if he's sick or he's out, or she's out, right, what are you going to do? If your editor is not available, what are you going to do? So be able to do everything. Yeah. And so from that day, he showed me the way, he showed me different techniques. And he really taught me how to every step from pre-production to actually, production to post-production. Okay. And I appreciate him. And from there, I just spent countless hours just crafting away, focusing on my goal and just really taking this serious. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this into a career. From the start of my journey, it really turned, once I graduated from college, it really turned me back to I was a freshman again. It's like when people say, you go from high school to college, from being a senior back to a freshman, that's what I felt like. Because it was tough. Yeah. I mean, I got accepted to go to Temple University, get my master's at Temple University. I signed up for classes, got my student ID and all that, my student ID number, everything. I'm going to Philly, I'm headed to Temple, and weeks before, a month before I was actually about to start school at Temple to get my master's in film and production, I was like, man, nah, I'm just gonna go to Atlanta. Yeah. And so I postponed school, and I was working on different sets in Atlanta, film sets in Atlanta, and I just moved. And so it was a struggle at first, man. I was on that freshman year diet. I mean, when you talk about that oodles and noodles,
he was on it.
You get that spaghetti that lasts you all week. That type of diet, man. My pockets was on E, but I was hungry. Yeah, literally and physically. Yeah, and so I just kept at it.
And Omari, I think that right there has helped you to become who you are now. Those days, those sacrifices, and those opportunities in which you said, you know what, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to really realize my life, and I'm going to put it in front of me and I'm going to go after it. And you've really been able to do that. And that's something I want to dive into, but we'll do it after the break. It's Jalil, it's Omari, it's HBCU 101. You all stay tuned.
All right, time for HBCU Wall Street 101's Health is Wealth. Type 2 diabetes accounts for approximately 90 to 95% of all diagnosed cases of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes accounts for approximately 5 to 10%.
HBCU 101. Welcome back to HBCU 101.
Welcome back to HBCU 101. I am Jalil, and we have Omari Collins, North Carolina Central University Eagle Pride Amplified is here with us today. Oh, before the break, you talked about, the sacrifice that you had to make and the different things that you did in order to be where you are now. Now, where you are today is very unique and very special. I mean, not only do you have your own videography company, however, you're an official videographer, photographer for the NFL and for Cam Newton. What has that been like, and what does that look like for you in the future?
First and foremost, man, it's been a blessing. I thank God on that. It's just because it's so scary when you bet on you.
Yeah.
And when you bet on you, like, your back is against the wall, and you just got to come out fighting. And, fear can be a bully for your whole life if you let it. And so I chose not to let fear bully me. And so I just kept fighting. And I ended up in places, that God really placed me in just from believing in him and just going with everything that he blessed me with. And so, man, it's been great, man. This camera has taking me around the world, free of charge, and with paying for me to go places, man. And some of the events and the venues and the cities I've been in, like, I can't even imagine, like, oh wow, like I'm here, like I'm there, like, And so it's just a blessing, bro. That's the short I can say. Just a blessing, and it hits you in certain times when you come from. Like, it always hits me when I think about where I was at this time last year or what I used to do. So, for instance, first time I went to the BET Awards, I'm like, man, I used to watch these awards on TV. Like, my brother, I'm getting a call last year at the Super Bowl because I'm recording, like, the coin toss out there. And I look back after the game, my brother like, that's my brother. He on the 50-yard line at the Super Bowl on the coin toss. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, I'm at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. We
used to just have Super Bowl parties. Yeah. I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's just a blessing, bro. Like, it's just a blessing. And I'm so glad that I stood 10 toes down and I just kept with my dream.
Before we let you go, we have to play a game. It's called I Got 5 on It. I got 5 on is this or that. You choose who or what you got 5 on. Okay? So look, we're gonna keep it in North Carolina right now. You're a Greek. You traveled a little bit of here, a little bit of there. If you had to choose a yard outside of yours in North Carolina that might have been the littest, who are you taking? Winston-Salem State University or Johnson C. Smith?
Ooh, man, I grew up at Smith. Homecomings every year. But Winston is different. I mean, I really love Winston, man. Shout out to Winston-Salem State University. They know how to have a good homecoming, so I'm gonna go with Winston on that one.
Okay. Now you are a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, so we're gonna talk Greeks in North Carolina, outside of North Carolina Central. Whose Greek life do you think really has it on lock? Would it be Fayetteville State? Or would it be Shaw?
I like Shaw.
Okay.
I mean, I might need to go with Shaw, man. Them boys at Shaw, they do their thing too. But Fayetteville, it's tough, bro. We talking about Fayetteville State and Shaw, man, it's tough. They got something to prove, but I mean, hey, I used to be on the yard at Shaw a lot. My brother started his college career at Shaw, so I'm gonna go with Shaw.
Okay, say no more. Now, before we let you go, please let the people know where they can find you and everything that you got going on.
Man, you all can find me on IG. My IG is OG Collins _media. Once again, OG Collins _media. Look out for all my updates. That's the quickest way you could probably hit me. Just DM me. Any questions, want to link up for work or whatnot. So all my new work coming out. So you can just hit me on the gram, really. Just look out for my new work, man. We have a new documentary dropping called 86 Nights. is dropping sometime this fall about, Cam Newton's whole process of getting back. It talks about his 86 nights of him being out the NFL. So we was able to dive in deep and spend day to day with him throughout his process. And so this will be a piece of work that I'm very proud of. So the whole Iconic Saga team, we had our hand in this, but I was able to grow with the individual during a tough process of his life.
Gotcha.
And kind of see him evolve. So it's going to be a beautiful piece amongst a number and a multitude of other things that I have coming out and that we have coming out. And so, yeah, man, just look out for the new work, man. Check me out on the gram. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that's definitely something I'm going to be on the lookout for. And you guys, make sure you tune in and check that out. It's HBCU 101. It's Jalil. And it's Omari. Eagle Pride Amplified is in the building. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Time now for Did You Know, brought to you by HBCU Pride. Did you know that Althea Gibson, the first African American to win a Grand Slam tennis title, graduated from Florida A&M University?
HBCU 101. Welcome back to HBCU 101.
Today's Wear Brim Spotlight lands on Spride Players Group, LLC. It's an athlete and career development firm offering workshops for students, pro athletes, and facilitating career development for all individuals trying to elevate their game. Allison Waymyers is the owner. She's currently working on her postgraduate degree at Clark Atlanta University. The VP is Alan Spry, an alum of Southern University and a former football player. If you know someone who should be in the Wear Brim Spotlight, contact us at info@hbcu101.com.
And that's it for today's episode of HBCU 101. I would like to send a special shout out, a special love, and thanks to my guy, my brother, Omari Collins, for giving us the overall scope on everything North Carolina Central, the NFL, and his career. For the entire crew, I am your host, Jalil Thurman. I'll see you next week.